Welcome to our episode of Hong Kong Brief, where we skim through the froth of today's news with a spoonful of zest. In today's financial whirlwind, the People's Bank of China is playing superhero to the yuan, giving it a mighty boost amid its recent slump. Talk about a power move. Meanwhile, gold is lounging near its record high, chilling out as investors bite their nails waiting for the U.S. inflation data. Will it push the Fed to slice interest rates? Only time will tell. And in the world of sports, Olympian Vicky Holland is strapping on her superhero cape, aiming to dazzle us all by jumping back into elite triathlons post-motherhood. Talk about Mongols. On a more serious note, the cyber world is buzzing with the news of the US and UK throwing down the gauntlet against Chinese hackers accused of a long-running espionage saga. It's like something out of a spy novel, but with less martinis and more sanctions. And speaking of expansion, CATL isn't letting any grass grow under its feet in the EV battery market, charging ahead with plans to reduce EV charging times to a mere 10 minutes. Now, that's what I call fast and furious. From botched flower displays in Hong Kong that have social media in stitches, to New Zealand joining the chorus accusing China of naughty cyber antics, it's been a day of intriguing twists and turns. And let's not forget about the Cambodian official who dodged monkey smuggling charges, or the dramatic saga of Evergrande's financial fiasco. It's a mixed bag of news, but one thing's for sure, it's never dull. So, grab your popcorn or your preferred snack, and stay tuned for the detailed scoop on all these stories and more. Please continue to watch for more in-depth content. PBOC extends Yuan support as it boosts FIX by most since January. Bloomberg. China's central bank, the People's Bank of China, has strengthened its support for the yuan by increasing its daily reference rate for the currency by the most since January. This comes as the yuan sank to its weakest point since November on Friday. The bank is tasked with keeping the yuan stable while maintaining supportive monetary policy for a sputtering economy and keeping a lid on capital outflows. A weaker yuan may help the export side of the economy, but a sharp slide could trigger negative investor sentiment towards China. Gold holds near record high ahead of U.S. inflation data release. Bloomberg. Gold prices held steady as investors awaited key U.S. inflation data that could provide insight into when the Federal Reserve will cut interest rates. The data is expected to show that inflation remained high in February, potentially hindering the Fed's plans for 3 interest rate cuts this year. However, the precious metal remains near an all-time high amid growing expectations that the central bank will ease monetary policy. Swaps markets have trimmed wagers for a rate reduction in June, but investors remain cautious ahead of the data release. Olympian Holland aiming for elite return to inspire next generation of women. South China Morning Post. Olympic bronze medalist Vicky Holland is hoping to inspire future generations of mothers in elite sport by returning to the top tier of triathlon after giving birth to her daughter in January 2023. Holland wants to show that it is possible to have a family and a career in sport, something she did not think was possible when she was growing up. While qualification for the Paris Games is not a priority for her, she wants to reclaim a spot in the Elite World Championship Series and hopes to compete at the European Championships in September. U.S. Britain sanctioned China for broad 14-year hacking campaign. Washington Post. The U.S. Justice Department has unsealed an indictment charging 7 Chinese state-sponsored hackers with a 14-year campaign targeting U.S. and foreign critics, businesses, and political officials. In parallel, the U.S. Treasury Department announced sanctions on 2 of the hackers and a front company for their roles in breaching U.S. critical infrastructure. The UK has also sanctioned the hackers and company for targeting parliamentarians and UK electoral commission systems. The 2 allies are attempting to send a strong message to Beijing that cyber activities endangering national security and suppressing dissidents abroad violate international norms. Hackers linked to Chinese government targeted critics, politicians, and businesses, US, UK allege. The Globe and Mail. Chinese hackers linked to the Chinese government have conducted a widespread hacking campaign targeting U.S. officials, journalists, corporations, pro-democracy activists, and the UK's election watchdog, according to US and UK authorities. The hacking group, dubbed Advanced Persistent Threat 31, APT-31, was traced back to China's Hubei State Security Department, part of China's Ministry of State Security. The group is accused of carrying out cyber espionage, stealing trade secrets, and tracking high-level political figures. The U.S. Justice Department has charged 7 alleged hackers, while the UK government has imposed sanctions on 2 of them. CATL to keep expanding in the face of slower EV growth, chairman says. Bloomberg. Contemporary Amperex technology, CATL, the world's biggest battery maker, will expand its production of technologically advanced batteries, according to its president and chairman, Robin Zeng. In an interview, Zeng said the Chinese electric vehicle, EV, market was now market-driven. Zeng also said CATL was working on reducing EV charging times to 10 minutes. CATL supplies batteries to almost every major automaker, including Tesla, Volkswagen, and Toyota. The company generated 400.9 billion Chinese yuan, $56 billion, in revenue last year. Botched Hong Kong flower display takes public view for granted. SCMP opinion. A rose light display funded by the Hong Kong government has faced criticism for its funeral vibe on social media. The display, which cost 500,000 Hong Kong dollars, $64,000, has been altered to a pinkish hue, but has now been mocked for its toilet vibe. The government has defended the installation as part of its policy to allow elected municipal bodies to create distinctive landmarks for locals and tourists. Easy money isn't China's secret sauce for EVs and solar panels. Bloomberg. China's success in the clean technology sector cannot be solely attributed to easy credit from the government, according to an opinion piece in Bloomberg. The article argues that Chinese renewable companies do not have significantly higher leverage than their international counterparts, indicating that they are not heavily reliant on government loans. The author also highlights other advantages enjoyed by Chinese manufacturers, such as generous purchase support for EVs and solar panels, cheap land in special economic zones, and reduced corporate tax rates for new technology industries. New Zealand joins US, UK in accusing China of malicious hacking. Bloomberg. New Zealand has accused China of sponsoring malicious cyber activity targeting democratic institutions, stating that its parliamentary network was breached in 2021. The Government Communications Security Bureau, GCSB, has linked a People's Republic of China state-sponsored actor to the hacking activity. The US and UK have also accused state-backed Chinese hackers of targeting politicians, companies, and dissidents, and stealing British voter data. China has disputed these claims, calling them disinformation and groundless accusations. By joining in the condemnation of China, New Zealand risks upsetting its largest trading partner. Hong Kong property tycoons are selling super call options. Bloomberg. Hong Kong property developers are introducing flexible payment plans and other incentives to encourage buyers to purchase residential property amid fears of price hikes. Developers are keen to take advantage of a sales window created by the government's removal of home purchase restrictions. The plans enable buyers to put down a small deposit and pay the rest upon completion, expected in 2025. Developers benefit from boosting sales and keeping deposits if the property market does not recover. The article suggests that investors are turning to property as a wealth management option due to a lack of alternatives in Hong Kong. Cambodian official acquitted of smuggling rare wild monkeys into South Florida. Yahoo! A Cambodian official charged with smuggling macaque monkeys into the U.S. has been acquitted by a court in Miami. Massful cry, the Deputy Director of Wildlife and Biodiversity for the Cambodian Forestry Administration, was arrested at JFK International Airport in New York in November 2018. Cry was charged with smuggling 360 macaque monkeys with a declared value of $661,680 into the U.S. He was also charged with conspiring with corrupt officials to falsely label wild-caught macaques as captive bred, which can be legally traded. Chinese property developer Evergrande faces a $120 billion fraud accusation. Here's what we know. ABC. The founder of Chinese property developer Evergrande has been banned from China's financial markets for life after the company allegedly falsified its revenue by nearly $120 billion. The firm, one of the world's most indebted property developers, defaulted on its debt last year and applied for bankruptcy in the U.S. in 2023. Evergrande has withdrawn its bankruptcy protection application, but its shares have plummeted and its liquidation has been ordered. Too little, too late, we are still not facing up to the China threat. Telegraph. The UK government has failed to take robust action against China for its human rights abuses and interference in UK affairs, according to former Conservative Party leader Sir Ian Duncan Smith. Writing in the Telegraph, Smith criticizes the government for taking 3 years to impose sanctions against Chinese officials and a small company for hacking UK parliamentarians. He argues that the UK should follow the US in recognizing China as a systemic threat and placing it on the enhanced tier of the Foreign Influence Registration Scheme. Dowden's idea of a robust response turns Taipei 3 redder than Tiananmen Square. Telegraph. UK MPs Ian Duncan Smith, Tim Loughton and Stuart MacDonald revealed that they were impersonated by Chinese hackers who sent emails in their names to senior politicians. The scam went on for years because nobody opened the emails. The MPs criticized the government's response, calling it underwhelming, and argued that it failed to address the wider context of Chinese espionage and genocide. They also highlighted that the UK had not imposed any sanctions on Chinese officials, unlike the US, which has sanctioned 40 Hong Kong officials. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.